Can you believe property prices have taken such a massive hit? Recently, news surfaced that a property development in the Jinwan district of Zhuhai in Guangdong was offering 50 off, creating quite a stir. Originally, the price was set at 28,000 yuan per square meter. After the discount, properties are selling between 14,000 to 15,000 yuan per square meter.
With the cooling of the real estate market in China, developers are hoping to boost sales through discounts. Rumors are swirling in Zhejiang's Hangzhou city about a prominent developer's promotional policy of buy a house, get free gold. If one purchases an 89 square meter property, they receive 850 grams of gold. For a 100 square meter property, they receive 1,000 grams of gold. Based on the current price of gold, 1,000 grams equates to approximately 450,000 yuan, about 61,900 US dollars. It is essentially offering an 18% discount.
房地产报公开了发文，开发商可以降价自救了。大家知道房地产报的东家是谁啊？就是国家住建部的。
For many years, the Chinese government's policy has been against developers reducing property prices, but as the real estate crisis in China intensifies, with increasing debt defaults in the housing sector and significant drops in sales, there seems to be a shift in the official stance. An article in the China Real Estate Business recently advocated for permitting developers to use price reductions as a promotional strategy, thereby recovering funds more rapidly. Starting August, 95-year-old Li Ka-shing, the wealthiest man in Hong Kong, began to reduce the prices and divest his properties in Hong Kong and Beijing. His properties are priced even lower than the surrounding second-hand ones. He has also eliminated the previously required pre-sale financial verification. This highlights the urgency of Li's move. Historically, Li Ka-shing has been regarded as an indicator of investment trends. His accelerated property offloading in China has sparked various speculations. In early August, the Chongkong Holdings, owned by Li Ka-shing, launched a batch of pre-sale properties in its new The Coastline No. 2 project located in Yaotong, Kowloon, Hong Kong. The project, just one subway stop from Hong Kong Island, is anticipated to be completed by October 2025. According to the first pricing list released, the most affordable unit is priced at 18% discount, selling at 2.9 million Hong Kong dollars, roughly 371,000 US dollars, or 1,760 US dollars per square foot, or 18,900 US dollars per square meter. The unit has a usable area of 201 square feet, approximately 19.5 square meters. This selling price is about 30% cheaper than the surrounding second-hand properties. This takes the price back to levels seen 7 years ago. This low-priced project came as the Hong Kong real estate market experiences another slump. In July of this year, a total of 6,380 properties were sold in Hong Kong. This is a 25% decrease year-on-year. The total transaction amount is 54 billion Hong Kong dollars, which is a 46% drop year-on-year. Of this, residential property sales dropped 21% year-on-year to 4,805 units. Total value dropped 32% to 44 billion Hong Kong dollars. Moreover, Hong Kong's private housing price index has seen consecutive drops in May and June this year. In mid-August, multiple media outlets from mainland China reported that the luxury residential project Greenery Gardens by Chongkong Group is gearing up for pre-sale. Greenery Gardens is located in Yaojiayuan in the eastern fourth ring of Chaoyang district in Beijing. The project was secured for development by Hutchinson Whampoa, a subsidiary of the Chongkong Group, back in 2001. With a development span of 22 years, this represents Hutchinson Whampoa's final project in Beijing. On November 2, 2022, Chongkong Group stipulated that prospective buyers interested in the single-story or townhouse properties of Greenery Gardens must maintain a bank deposit of either 500,000 or 1 million RMB. Furthermore, they must provide evidence of an initial down payment amounting to 2 million or 8 million RMB, including deposits, financial investments, and stocks. But insiders responsible for the sale of Greenery Gardens revealed that Chongkong Group has now waived the financial verification for viewing requirement. Direct reservations are now acceptable, indicating that the Li Ka-shing family is expediting their property liquidation. Reportedly, many Beijing real estate agents began promoting the Greenery Gardens project and showing model homes from August onward. The initial estimated sales price of units in Greenery Gardens was at least 100,000 to 110,000 RMB per square meter, approximately $13,900 to $15,300 per square meters. Yet the latest approved pre-sale prices for this batch of properties, encompassing 9 buildings and 473 units, range between 90,700 and 99,700 RMB per square meter, approximately $12,600 to $13,870 per square meter. This price represents a nearly 10% decrease from the original market estimate. Reports suggest that the lower-than-expected pre-sale prices for greenery gardens reflect the current sluggishness in Beijing's new housing market, especially the luxury market. Senior analyst Cheng Xiao from the Zhuge Data Research Center believes that the actual prices for greenery gardens might be marginally lower than expected due to developers adjusting their market anticipations in light of the continued market downturn. China's real estate continues to cool. Despite local government efforts to introduce numerous stimulatory policies, the real estate and financial sectors in China continue to be rocked by successive debt defaults. As a result, common citizens have become the major victims of unfinished building projects. Judging by market reactions, the effectiveness of these government measures seem unimpressive.
烂尾后才知道，卖地的没责任，卖房的没责任，贷款的没责任，买房的必须承担所有的责任。你们说？
A report from the China Index Academy reveals that in July 2023, both supply and demand for commercial residential properties in Beijing plummeted, with transaction volumes dropping to a 5-month low. From January to July, sales of commercial residential properties in Beijing, excluding affordable housing, decreased by 5% year-on-year. The luxury property market also cooled. Data from the Lands Realtors Research Institute shows that in July, there were 290 luxury property transactions. This is a 7.6% decrease from the previous month and a staggering 59% decline year-on-year, marking the 4th consecutive month of decline. In light of unsettling news from mainland China's real estate market, such as the massive debt crisis involving property group Evergrande and the debt turmoil surrounding Country Garden, the news of significant property discounts by the Li Ka-shing Chengkang Group is being interpreted as another cautionary sign that the property market is on a downward spiral. Li Ka-shing, a legendary figure in the business world, has historically demonstrated astute judgment in predicting the peaks and troughs of the real estate market. He once remarked, "I am merely a businessman. The primary goal of a businessman is to safeguard capital. Only second to that is rapid asset appreciation." Around 2013, Li Ka-shing began liquidating his real estate holdings in mainland China and Hong Kong. At that time, he was labeled as timid and overly cautious. Chengkang Group's annual sales revenue from properties in the mainland averaged about 29.8 billion Hong Kong dollars. This means that over the past decade, assets worth approximately 298 billion Hong Kong dollars in the mainland have been divested. On September 12, 2015, Liaowai think tank, an institution under the Xinhua News Agency, published an article titled "Don't Let Li Ka-shing Slip Away." The piece criticized the Chengkang Group for its morally indefensible act of withdrawing assets from China. This sparked controversy, prompting a personal response from Li Ka-shing. Given the current challenges faced by many domestic real estate companies and the ongoing property market difficulties, some commentators believe that Li had foreseen the market's peak ahead of others. He chose not to squeeze out every last penny and exited the market with grace and foresight. But some analysts believe that when Li Ka-shing left Hong Kong in 2015, he sold his Shanghai properties at market prices. In contrast, this year he's offering his Hong Kong properties at a 30% discount, indicating a hasty sale. This suggests that a crisis in Hong Kong is imminent and that the linked exchange rate between the Hong Kong dollar and the US dollar might soon collapse. If the Hong Kong dollar were to decouple from the US dollar, his assets in Hong Kong could shrink by approximately 40%. Data indicates that in May this year, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, HKMA, intervened by buying 4 billion Hong Kong dollars. This marks the 49th such intervention since May 2022, accumulating purchases of over 290 billion Hong Kong dollars. Analysts believe that these actions by the Hong Kong authorities illustrate their determination to stabilize the Hong Kong dollar to US dollar linked exchange rate. However, continuous interventions at this pace might exhaust even the HKMA's resources. There's a possibility that Hong Kong could face a financial crisis similar to or even more severe than the 1997 Asian financial crisis, leading to a speculative attack on the Hong Kong dollar. Additionally, with over 70% of foreign investments in mainland China originating from Hong Kong, any downturn there could exacerbate China's economic challenges. Currently, not only is China's residential market sluggish, but the downturn in real estate is also impacting premium office spaces in major cities. Top-tier cities like Shanghai and Beijing are witnessing a rising vacancy rate in their office buildings. According to Nikkei News, Hong Kong-listed Soho China, which owns office buildings in Beijing and Shanghai, stated on August 18th that economic activity is starting to cool again in the second quarter. The company's profits in the first half of the year plunged by 93% to 13.6 million RMB, around $1.9 million, with predictions of continued pressure on rental rates and occupancy. UK-based real estate firm Savills revealed that by the end of June, this occurrence, a first since 2015, resulted in a vacant area totaling approximately 7,500 square meters in these types of buildings. Data from Savills also indicates that the vacancy rate for Grade A office buildings in Beijing rose for the third consecutive quarter. By the end of June, the vacant area reached approximately 13,500 square meters, the highest figure since 2015. Analysts suggest that China's underwhelming economic recovery has led businesses to cut rental expenses, favoring areas with lower rents. While companies are instinctively cutting costs during challenging times, such actions could exacerbate China's economic woes. On August 8th, Dallas-based real estate and investment firm CBRE indicated that rents in China's first-tier cities will continue to decline due to persistently weak demand. This statement stood out, especially since CBRE had previously predicted in January that demand for office space would surge as China's economy recovers post-COVID-19 restrictions. Meanwhile, investors, both domestic and international, are distancing themselves from the office real estate sector. According to data from Morgan Stanley Capital International, on tangible assets, the total corporate investment in China's office spaces in the second quarter was $1.9 billion, the lowest since quarter 4 of 2018. Of this, $1.7 billion came from domestic investors, with $200 million from other regions in the Asia-Pacific. MCSI highlighted that excluding companies purchasing buildings for their own use, there have been no office building transactions involving North American or European institution investors in the last 2 years. China's economy grew faster than expected in the first quarter of this year after the CCP abandoned its zero-COVID policy. However, a reversal occurred in April and May. The pace of economic recovery was slower than anticipated. Retail sales, investments, and real estate sales data all fell short of projections. Unemployment rates among China's urban youth surged to over 20%, the highest level recorded since 2018. The economic slowdown can be largely attributed to China's real estate market, which post-pandemic remains unstable after experiencing catastrophic defaults and plummeting sales.